We're here for the next installment of Know How, which is excitingly entitled The Product Launch. So for those who have regularly tuned in, you would have heard about the new event recently, through to the pitch, through to finding your purpose. And I think it's fair to say in the water industry, there's a fair amount of technologies, of gadgets, of widgets, of software and hardware that are launched into the business. If you've been in the water industry long enough, you know that some of those go on to become great successes and some of those unfortunately don't. But we're pleased to say we have two successful entrepreneurs joining us today. We have who we've called the reuse queen, Sabine Stuiver, who is the CMO and co-founder of Hydraloop, as well as Yousef Yousef, who, as I previously introduced at the Aquatech Innovation Dinner, a man so innovative they named him twice. So he is the CEO of LG Sonic. So today we're going to have a fruitful discussion. We've got a couple of slides just as key talking points. We don't want to be too slide heavy. If at any point you've got any questions, any comments, anything really resonates with you, please ask a question. I'm going to be monitoring the comments. We're looking at about 45 minutes, so feel free to invite your colleagues around to take part as well. And so what are you going to hear today? Well, there's a couple of key points. One of them is everybody needs a Steve Jobs, you know, as a discussion point. You might not agree with that, but we're going to hear from Sabine and Yousef on that. Don't fall in love with your product. So a key bit of advice. How to stand out in Vegas, which we're going to hear from Sabine on. Learn to say no, how to keep laser focused when momentum really builds, as well as, you know, where is the next innovation? How do you keep innovating and stay innovative? So let's bring in, if we can, Andrew, put on the first slide, please, and bring in Sabine and Yousef. Can hear a lot of beeping, so I think that means a lot of people are joining. Welcome. So Andrew, if we can put on that first slide of, there we go. Everybody needs a Steve Jobs. So what I want to do is not do a traditional introduction. Hi, I'm Yousef. Hi, I run LG Sonic. I want to use this as a discussion point. And actually, Yousef, this was a phrase that you said to us in a couple of weeks ago in a kind of prep call. So maybe you can reflect on why you believe everybody needs a Steve Jobs, and then use that as a kind of introduction to your business and perhaps the team around you that you've built, and just a little really quick introduction to LG Sonic, if you will.
Thank you, Tom. So first of all, my name is not Steve Jobs. That's a very obvious, and that's not my picture. But to give you a good reason why everybody need a Steve Jobs, because most of the innovators, they have worked a lot of hours and a lot of days to develop their own product. So after a while, you will become in love with your own product. And actually, you need someone from outside which will come and take a look at your product and say, hey, that can be used for this and this and this end user. And he will think from the end user's need, and he will translate that beautiful product to a solution for a problem that the end user would have. That was also the role of Steve Jobs. If you will know, like how he invented Apple, it was first with the Lisa and with the small computers, and it wasn't so successful till he met. He went to an innovation lab where he saw the computer with the mouse and the interface, and the people there, they were so much in love. There were about 120 people, I think, engineers working on that beautiful computer for so long. They didn't see the value of it. So that's why I think everybody will need a Steve Jobs.
And I think what I definitely right, taking a concept, thinking about the creative around it, but from reading the biography of Steve Jobs, and there's a really good book called Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and he talks about in successful partnerships, you have how people and you have why people. And Steve Jobs is perhaps a why person in terms of the vision and the strategy, but he had Steve Wozniak, which is maybe the how person, how to get it done, how to be more realistic in terms of the technicality. So Sabine, would you say there's a Steve Jobs in Hydraloop? And what would you say your role is? And perhaps give us a few words about yourself and Arthur and the business, just as a way of introduction, if you will.
Well, it all started in our garage. And Arthur, who invented the Hydraloop, I really lost him in the garage for a couple of years in his dunes. So that is a good comparison with Steve Jobs, I think. I married Arthur many years ago, so I've been, I'm co-founder of Hydraloop, so I've been there from the start. Actually, in the beginning, I wasn't interested because, you know, he was just in the garage and it all looked very terrible. And the idea was great, but it wasn't really that exciting to me until I have to say, really, the product became kind of a nice finished design product. That's when I started to become really interested. Anyway, so I think the Steve Jobs thing with us as well is that I think that we realized with creating a product that it had to have a sleek design, it had to be plug and play, that it had to be user friendly. So that is again another connection with, I think, the products that Apple have come out with. And yes, Arthur and I, as I say, we're married, and we work together. We are together 24/7, which I think is, and we're very complementary. So I think, I mean, Arthur is the creative brain, and I'm the Steve Wozniak. I'm the organization.
You're the how person to Arthur's why. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it worked really well. And I think if we hadn't done this, if I wouldn't have worked like this in the company, I don't think our personal relationship would exist anymore, because this has been a 24/7, you know, this has been a full-time, more than a full-time job.
It's your life, isn't it?
It's everything. Yeah, it still is.
Good to hear. I think there's evidence of the how and the why in both organizations. So let's come on to the tech maybe, because Andrew, if we can bring on the next kind of talking point. And maybe now we've talked about you guys and the team and the companies. It's a great two innovations. One's involved in controlling algae or algal blooms. The other one, Sabine on Hydraloop, is decentralized reuse in the homes. Great innovations, very different markets, you know, in terms of B2C, B2B. But Yousef, one thing you've said to us in the past is, you know, your advice when launching a product, and that's what we're talking about today, is don't fall in love with the product too much. Right. So what do you mean by this? Don't fall in love with it too much. If you can explain. Oh, I think you're.
So maybe let's go back in time a little bit. In the company Adisonic, which I own, we started in 1999. So it's quite old company, and I started as an intern in the company. So I joined the company in 2003, and from that moment till 2010, we were in love with our product. What I mean, we had the product in the center of the organization, and we were doing a lot of different applications. So we were using the ultrasound technology to control the algae, to control the biofouling, also in the shipping industry, but as well as in the irrigation. So everywhere where there was water and there was algae, we will say that's our customer. And if people will tell us, what do you do? We will tell them, like, we sell ultrasound to solve all of the water problems. It was very naive. And why is that very, very bad strategy? Because you will develop your whole technology based on everyone's needs. So in 2010, we went nearly bankrupt. So the ex-owner of the company told me, like, Yousef, we have lost so much money. There is nobody which want to invest in our technology. And I was like, nobody investing in technologies, people buying some specific solution to solve a problem they have. So I took over the company in 2011, and I restarted from scratch. So it was me, Lisa, and Rick. And the idea over there, I say, I am not interested in the ultrasound. I am interested of one type of our customers, and that's the big, large water surface. So large companies with a large water surface, they will value the water much higher than a swimming pool owner. And to put that focus, so instead of putting the technology in the center of the organization and all the application around it, we say, no, we will put one customer in the center of the organization, and we are going to see how we can serve him the best. So we choose the B2B premium customers which means no sales to B2C, to swimming pools, to ponds, to koi ponds, but also no focus to countries like India or Africa, because the product will be too expensive. So this focus to say no to some of our customers and to focus really on some of others, which is the drinking water companies, made us realize our product is not ready for them. We had to make it much bigger. So with the solar panels, we had to add monitoring to it. We needed to add some remote technology to it to serve them better. And that's the complete story between in love with your product and in love with your customer.
And it's finding that first iconic customer was really important to you in the US, right? In terms of having that flagship, that reference. They say, it's often in the water industry, people like to be first to be second when adopting new solutions, see someone else trial it. But for you, getting that iconic project was super important, right?
Yes, yes. So after we have developed our technology, which is monitoring the algae and treat it, we had a very nice test in Poland. It was a small test, and we couldn't convince anyone in the Netherlands. So all the Dutch water boards say, yeah, you haven't tested in the Netherlands, so we don't know if it's working. And I was like, yeah, that's why you need to test it. Then I will have a reference. So it was like a loop. We didn't come up out of it. So finally, I thought, okay, I will not lose a lot of money and a lot of time to convince someone which don't see the benefit. They should not have the luxury to choose your product. So you need to focus, where does your product really add the most value? And that was for me in United States with American Water. They had a quite large water reservoir where they had used a lot of chemicals there, and it didn't work so well. So finally, they told us, okay, we are going to buy 4 buoys. We will pay you 50%. After 1 year, if it's going to work, we will pay you the rest. And we are going to publish anyway if it's working or not working. So it might be also the end of the technology, but we had so much faith in it. We say, okay, let's do it. And yeah, it tested. They bought the rest of the units and they published it, and it was very successful installation. Otherwise, you will not invite me here. But, and now we are.
The rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, 96 countries, but it's all starting from that one project.
So it's a case of good timing, a case of solving that challenge of, you said they were using chemicals, it wasn't effective, so they actually needed the solution, you came along at the right time. And perhaps the relationship you're saying earlier about putting your customer first. So the right time, the right place, a solution to a challenge that needed to be solved, all that kind of created that perfect storm for that first iconic product. But Sabine, let's bring
just to add one more thing, and sure. Saying the power of saying no. So you really need to say no to a lot of other customers once you will focus on one type of customers. And I think that's quite difficult to do when you are starting a business, because your most intuition is like, everyone is my customer.
Well, you don't want to turn away the potential revenue, right? It's business, and how can you possibly turn down a customer? Well, the learn to say no, we're going to come on to a little bit, because I think, the importance of focus. But Sabine, let's just bring you back in on this point of don't fall in love with your product, because I've seen you talk about the Hydraloop. We did that 360 video case study. It's, as you say, it's designed really well. It's quite easy to fall in love with. But tell us about your first kind of reference project, flagship project, getting in the door, getting that first customer, and how. Tell us the story behind that, if you will.
Yeah, well, that was quite nice, because, and that's the reason also why we ended up setting up our head office in Leeuwarden, because the local council actually offered us a pilot project there. So that was our really, really very first project. And of course you need that. And it's been very, very good, because we've had so much feedback from clients, because we've been testing in the garage and there it worked all fine. And then you get it out to the customers, and then you realize all the things that we hadn't noticed, or, we didn't experience. So we did a project with 10 houses in Leeuwarden, and that was for 1.5 years, which just gave us a lot of feedback. And actually thereafter, we sold our units to other customers. But actually they were still also very good trials. So these people have been giving us a lot of feedback. We've treated them like, I mean, the very best clients ever still. I mean, you know, we've literally flown over there to South Africa or whatever to fix their problems. We can do a lot online, by the way, but we've done that as well. So they've actually been very expensive units, but we've learned so much from them. And that's what we needed to kind of perfect the system to what it is right now.
And you've got the data to back it up, and like you say, it almost meant to be, because that's why you chose a location for where you're based in Leeuwarden, and the Netherlands is a good market. But
yeah, and then we have, of course, the water campus, which is, you know, and has a very beautiful ecosystem. So we have the lab, and we have the PhD students, and the network that we've been introduced in as well. And through them, for example, we found our production factory in Emmen, Technologies Added, which is so we have the supply chain and everything is outsourced, and they are producing our units there. So all of that came through basically setting up ourselves in Leeuwarden. So it's been very good for us.
Amazing. Well, great to hear. Now, there's something on whilst you're still there, Sabine, and we'll bring you back in, Yousef, very shortly, is the Consumer Electronics Show. And we have got one slide just to show. This is enormous show. It's kind of the pre-COVID was the electronic show to be at. All the big boys, the Samsungs are there, putting a lot of money into this. And this is quite a nice story in terms of not only standing out in the consumer market, but an event where you're competing with the likes of Samsung. Actually, Hydraloop managed to make the headlines and win the innovation awards there. So tell us a bit about the strategy and the story behind that, because I think that's really interesting. We often talk in the water sector about big B2B events, but CES is the daddy of electronic shows. So tell us the story behind that, if you will. It's a great picture of you and
yes,
after that. He's not wearing his jeans though from the garage.
No, not anymore. Yeah. Well, you know, you always also have this, so this is the marketing pictures and stuff. There's also the background information. So if you want the full story, and I'll do it quickly because we don't have all afternoon, is that we actually really, just before we went to CES, we were actually not sure how and if we had to go ahead with our products, because people liked it. Everybody was saying, oh, it's amazing, but, you know, nobody was really buying them in large quantities. And we were, you know, we had to put a lot of more money in it. We were investing in it privately. So it was a very difficult time. But then we looked at the pipeline and we said, okay, okay, we continue. We worked day and night to get all the websites up and running, because we renewed everything so that in America we could really go full steam ahead. Before that, we enrolled for an innovation award, and we were actually rejected. So, and then because the RVO in the Netherlands, they actually gave us prep days, and they helped us to kind of really, to really organize ourselves very well for America. That meant, for example, how to present yourself to a journalist, to investors, all American style. I went to all 3 prep days, which is actually amazing. I was, not all startups went there. We went with 50 startups, and I think there were maybe half of them came to the prep days, which I think is an absolute loss. Anyway, through the prep days, I was in contact with the organization from the RVO, Tech Leap. And when our submission was rejected, somebody said that, let me have a look at it and see why, because nobody said why. And he said, oh, you've got to use this terminology like your next generation, first of a kind, and you've got to say this is going to be your global launch. So I reworked that for that innovation award. I re-entered, and I had a deadline, and basically it was 1:30 at the night when I said press enter, not knowing what would actually come out of that. Because what happened is that we actually, thereafter we got the news that we weren't just the nominee, but we were then awarded Best of Innovation for Sustainability, Eco-Design and Smart Energy. And what this did, and what I realized afterwards, is that this put us in the picture at CES. What then happened is that before CES started, we actually, journalists from all over the world were told that we were a tech to watch out, a tech trend to watch out for. The next day, we were mentioned in the top 25 of 25 top products for CES from Newsweek. From Time Magazine. Then we were in the top 12 from Newsweek. And then we didn't even know that there was like a top section to be winning at CES. There was the best of CES. And there we then finally won not only best sustainable product, best startup company, but hey, yes, we won from everybody, from 4,500 products, companies, from 20,000 products, yeah, beating Sony, Samsung, everybody, with millions and millions of marketing budgets. And this was the change, the big change in from push to pull. So instead of for 2 years, 26 exhibitions that we went to in 2 years' time, carrying around this very heavy Hydraloop display model, which is.
I think I helped you lift it a couple of times. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember.
I always said to Arthur, you've invented something smaller. And because we had won this innovation award before we went to the CES, we were allowed to have another one. So we were at 2 different positions. And here, we were this was our biggest, you could not have dreamed this.
It really took off from CES, right? And I think we wrote a piece for Aquatech about, in fact, there was almost not a trend, but for the smart water home in CES. So it was very timely, you guys being there, but also it was almost, there was more of a focus on water. There was Zero Mass Water, an atmospheric water generation company there. There was some things about smart water sensors for the home to detect if you had a leak. I think the timing of you guys being there and winning the award really summed it up. But we'll come back to you in a minute, Sabine, in terms of riding that wave after CES, because it comes into our next topic and talking point, which Yousef, I want to bring you back in on, and that is the laser focus. How do you say no? I mean, after CES, Sabine, and for you, Yousef, you had the results from America, you're getting inquiries everywhere. How do you kind of keep that laser focus? Because you started looking at the marine engineering business, right? And as we said before, they speak a different language. It's a different field to play in. So tell us why you believe in that laser focus and learning to say no quite early on, Yousef, if you will.
Yes, so it is quite hard to say no. Let's put that on front, because till now we have a lot of requirements from other kind of customers, and just recently, yesterday, I had a call from a quite large company. They would like to use our system in the water intake in Germany. And they will tell you, we have a budget of about 500,000. How can we spend it? What are we going to do? And then, like as an entrepreneur, you just can smell the market. And the first thing you will go and look at is how big is the market. So you will think like, okay, how many water intakes are around the world in Europe? And then you will multiply that by a big number. And then you will see like you are having $1 billion company. But that's not how it works. So I'm not going to fill in the same mistakes over and over again, because most of the time how it will go, they will start with the big numbers, and then they will tell you, we need to test it. And then you need to redesign your whole product. You need to hire new people. Yeah. And based on all that, you will start a test of 2 years till you will know it's not a real fit, because they have some kind of other chemicals which is doing much better than your product. And then all the investment and all the time is gone. So having same product with a new market, it's a quite difficult strategy. I will not say impossible. It will be impossible if it will be a new product with a new type of customer. That's impossible to do. And still a lot of startups are trying sometimes to do that. So, but most of them, so I am the chairman of the Green Ups, which is an organization with 400 startups and scale ups, which we try to get it to the next phase. And I believe the most common mistake the entrepreneurs and the startups are doing is they think with one product, to grow their business with one product, they will do a new type of business. And I think, no, the same kind of business, just add a new product, because that's quite easier. And that's what you should do. Saying no to the new markets, but saying yes to more value to your current customers, at least if you are not Apple and these sizes.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I was going to quote Apple when we mentioned Steve Jobs, and they went from the Apple Mac into the iPhone to the iPod, and kind of truly diversifying the business. And now you hear from every sale on iTunes, 30% comes, and it's a $2 trillion company now, right? And there's other examples like Dyson, okay, spent ages fine tuning the vacuum cleaner are now involved in hair dryers to fans. So that business model is to diversify. And you're saying actually pick a market and do it well, and slightly tweak the innovation within the water market.
No, I think that's exactly what Apple is doing is exactly what I'm saying. If you will use that example. So who is the customer of Apple? It's the rich Western guy, which would like to be sexy, smart, and he would like to be really good at everything. Apple is not designing product for the poor guy in Sudan.
Right.
So it's important to know. So all the products they are launching, it's for the same rich,
same customer,
white guy. So that's important to know. It's how successful they have the customer needs central in their DNA. That's for sure. If they would be alone with the iPhone, they will make this iPhone also for the elderly people or for the hospitals or for the mining industry. That will be being alone with your product, having a new market. They will say this iPhone, we will use it now for the mining industry, which can go with the temperatures of plus 100 degrees. So that's the whole idea. Don't be alone with your customer. Don't be alone with your technology. Be alone with your customer.
So map the customer, know your customer, and think if this profiling, like you say, Western guy sat in a cafe with his brand new iMac open is likely to go on and buy an iPad, or likely to then use the iPad to use the Apple ecosystem of iTunes and keep buying within that ecosystem. Okay, well it's good advice, I think. Know the customer and don't fall in love with the product. But Sabine, let's bring you back in, because after Las Vegas, it must have gone crazy with inquiries from around the world in terms of, hey, we want to change the world with you. We're building brand new apartment blocks in Dubai. We want to use your system. So how did you and Arthur kind of remain laser focused and almost, like Yousef said, despite the potential of the money, think this is where we've got to keep focused? I'd love to hear from you on that.
Well, it was so mind-blowing, really. It really, you have no idea. We had thousands of emails coming in from all over the world, either, just basically customers that wanted to buy one, people, companies wanting to be partners, loads and loads and loads and loads of people wanting to have joint ventures with us. We had no customer resource management system at that time. So first thing we did was get a training and get a system in so that we could, categorize everything. We started to categorize, and basically quite soon we found out that, we had everybody tell everybody, like, thank you very much for your interest. We will get back to you very soon. Because, we just literally didn't have the time to answer everybody properly because we have such a new product. Everybody has a question about it. If it's a fridge, they know what it does and how it works. So it's a lot easier. But with us, everybody started to say, okay, yeah, I want to use it like this, or we have a slaughtering company and we want to reuse that water. And everybody needed a lot of attention. So we found out that we had to focus quite well. And basically what we did is that we focused on countries. So we focused on basically which are our A, B, and C countries. So that and A countries are really the countries where water is scarce, where people can afford a Hydraloop, and or where the sustainability thought is quite, people are quite aware, so to speak. So basically, those are the countries that we are immediately starting to, answer those potential customers more and more. And the B and C countries, we leave kind of up to these countries to approach us. And if they have a brilliant project, okay, we will have a look at it. But they have to come in with a big project. Otherwise, we're not interested at the moment.
So would you say following Vegas, you must have seen interest for new applications for the technology, but like Yousef said, you've kept focus in terms of who your target customer is?
Yes, and also with the product, because people want all kinds of different, as you were saying, Yousef, all kinds of, use it for all kinds of different applications that we basically haven't tested it on. And, we spend so much money and time and energy to get our system certified and everything like that. So we really want to sell this product now and not now start to make one which is, made for hairdressing salons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We can do that later on when we are bigger, when we have more money. So that has been really the focus. So we're selling this one unit now, and we're also doing a cascaded version so we can do more volume. And we are at a very exciting moment in time right now. We're at the, how do you say that, the vooravond in Dutch. It's at the, we're almost signing with an investor. And when this is done, then we will actually, we have some smaller units and some larger units on the drawing board, which we will bring out to market next year, is the idea. But they're all based on the same technology as well. So they are for the same customers, as Yousef is saying. So they are still for the property developers and you know, and customers like and consumers, but they are bigger and larger units. So for apartments or for larger houses, etc.
Yeah, very good. Well, let's we've got a couple of comments from well, one's from Andrew actually. How do you upscale and expand to deal with the popularity while staying focused? I think you've covered that a little bit, but in terms of keeping focus, but employing the right team, investing into new people, new premises, new tech, it's a constant juggling act, is it not, Yousef?
Yeah, absolutely. The most challenging is building the winning team. I would say like once you will start growing the production, it's a joke, because you just need to spend more money on the production company. Most of the time you will outsource it, as Sabrina is doing. Very, very wise choice, Sabrina. So what we also do, we have a quite large warehouse. We have about 1,800 square meters, but still we don't do production. We do only the assembly and testing. So scaling up in the production, it's an easy, but scaling up with the team is the most challenging. So you need to be very careful who you hire, who you put on which position, but also you need to be very quick with the firing. You need to be very, very clear with the people which don't fit your company. And as an entrepreneur, you can make your company with a value of 1 million. So me and Lisa and Rick, we could grow the company to the 1 million sale a year. But to go from that to a multinational, we are still not so big. We are our last year turnover was around 7 to 8 million. So it's not like we are selling 100 millions. But what I mean, if we are thinking about how to scale it from the 1 million to do the 10 million, you have really a strong team. And that was for me quite challenging. Also in the Netherlands, it doesn't make it easier because it's quite easy to hire the people in the Netherlands, but it's quite difficult to get rid of them. And I see,
same in the UK.
I see some people, I see some people from my own team in the participants.
Be careful what you say.
Guys, yes, guys, no worries. I'm very, very happy now with the team. So, but finally, really, the team will make it or break it. And luckily for me, I am surrounded with a very, very strong team. So I'm very happy. Yeah, we could build it to what it is at this moment.
So do you find, just to comment on that, Yousef, do you find your instinct for hiring the right people has changed? You must have learned a little bit over the journey in terms of, or do you think that's something you're still learning to do as you grow?
It's so funny though. Like, you know, there are hundreds of books and hundreds of methods to do. We have tried them all. We do it now. We have like a procedure. So the first is just a call or video call. Then we will invite them, and then we will go more in depth. So still, I think there is a nice saying in Arabic, and the people which will know it will laugh about it. We say like the marriage and hiring people is like a watermelon. You don't know what's inside till you will open it, and the same with the hiring people. You don't know how good they are or how bad they are till you will hire them, and they will work for about 1 month to 2 months. So you in my company, I will bring up one person like Christine. Maybe you have noticed her. She came as an intern. I met her in a restaurant. She came as an intern in the company. She did a 3 months intern, and then 3 months sales assistant, and then management assistant, and then she went after sales, and then management, and now she's in the management team. And she's only 24 years old, and she did all that in about 3 years.
Wow.
So she was an absolutely rising star. She just keep on giving and investing in herself, and everyone would like to grow. Everyone in my organization would like to grow, but not everyone would like to do what it's necessary to grow.
Yeah.
So to keep it short, if you will go to the fitness, everyone would like to have this big muscles body, including me. But you see, not a lot of people have it, because to grow muscles, you need to be very consistent, and every time to go every one step further with the weights. And that is not so common for a lot of people.
No.
Sabine, well, in fact, we've had Sabine, we'll come back to you on that very thought. We've just had a comment in from Oliver Lawal, which says growth needs to hurt. So Oliver, let's actually bring you in, because you're a fellow entrepreneur. If you can put your camera on, Oliver. Can't see you here. There we go. British, yeah, I can see. So British guy in Kentucky, innovative technology, UVC LED. And you actually launched the technology during the pandemic. And a phrase you've used before that I've seen is, it was born out of a crisis, but it's a solution for years to come. So tell us, because I'm sure you can sort of really resonate with some of the things that Yousef and Sabine have said in terms of growing the business, the interest from around the world. You've said to me, you've even had, karaoke companies from South Korea get in touch about the technology. So tell us a bit of your story then, in terms of launching the tech and perhaps keeping focused when there's interest from everywhere.
Yeah, so I've really enjoyed listening to this. It's very good to come and reflect, isn't it? I agree with a lot. I actually slightly disagree with some things, and I just to make it interesting, I could point out that I actually think that it needs. I think the last point about it needs to hurt is important. I'm worried that the first comments you made sounded as if you got to be a little bit too conservative. So yeah, you do have to know your customer. You do have to love your next product. Actually, yeah, I mean, we got loads of products and they're really cool, but I love the idea of the next. That's what you got to fall in love with, because you got to push yourself. I actually completely disagree with a couple of points about India. I've got a guy in India. I've had him there 2 years. It's really hard to crack that market, but I placed a chip on that number, and I'm going to do it, because if I can figure out how to make this in Kentucky, and I already shipped to India, but how do we, can I do 100 times more? That's a really hard thing. Outsourcing, I don't know. I like to figure out how to do it, because if I can figure out how to do it, all my competitors are outsourcing, but if I can figure out how to do it, I've solved problems that no one else can solve. Look at Amazon. They hurt because they push. He starts selling books, but he owns a supermarket chain. He owns
space travel company. Yeah, it's all sorts of directions. Yeah,
Twitch and Twillo, and because he's pushed. Web services. It hurts. It really hurts. And I think, I think you have to know when to say no. But I don't agree with the phrase "just say no." I think you've got to really cleverly say no. And sometimes you've got to bet and go really quick, like this. We made this product, right? It's for making masks. It's 4 weeks, design, manufacturers started churning them out. You could put a mask in. It would have been super easy. And I said no for a long time on this. We make water products. We make, thousands of these things a month. And I said, no. But then when we said yes, we made the decision, then we went all in. We pushed, and everyone was committed. And so, I don't know, and it hurt. But yeah, training hurts. Learning new skills hurts. So,
do you think you were able to do that in the 4 weeks because you said you like to find out how to do things in house? So you had the design, the engineering, had all that team in place to get it done quickly.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, we use some outside help where we need to, but it has to be really hard. If we can't do it, it has to be really. We think very hard about outsourcing, very hard, because it's difficult to do it inside. And if you can solve that, I don't know. And it's not right for everyone. I'm just saying it's, I think there's some alternate views maybe. And,
Yeah.
I've agreed with 90% of what's been said.
We don't have to agree on everything.
No, I do like the way you said it. It's a couple of things actually. What we see, if we will still stay with the example of Apple, I don't see Apple producing phones for a reason. Because if you will be able to produce phones, then that should be your core business. If you are very good at production, then you need to be a production company. But again, and that's on one side. So I'm not saying like you should never, you should always outsource production. You should only do the production, which nobody else can do. That's my own idea. Yeah. So about the India market, I don't understood what you said there. I'm just saying like if your focus is Indian market, it's perfectly. But so I didn't say anything about India. I don't know where you get it. Just like the last point you mentioned, it's about the mask behind you. It's very, very good you did the mask, which is a very specific situation at this moment with the COVID. But I actually, as an entrepreneur, I hate opportunity runners, what I will say. So I really would like to focus on one thing and add my value over there. So there is a lot of opportunity that the market, the phone call from yesterday with the whole water intake. So the opportunities are not made for companies, are made for people which like to get money. And it's a company is not only made to make money, is found out to solve and have impact on people's life. So an opportunity is something completely else. If you would like to get rich, go behind the opportunity. 6 will not, you will not hit it, 1 you will hit it. Just the last comment. I do believe if you would like to do the total supply chain, or let's say to do a lot of things what Amazon was doing, and it's very weird to compare with Amazon, because if you will say the first 10 years Amazon was existing, Amazon was doing nothing else than selling the books and the algorithm and the warehouse behind it. So it's a completely different thing. The core business of Amazon was the artificial intelligence and e-commerce. They didn't go in the first 10 years to real estate, for example. However, they had the money.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but you're looking at the solution. The mask thing is not the problem we're solving here. That's just an outcome of the problem we're solving. Amazon, you're right, what they did, they solved algorithmic problems, and where you apply it, don't people look at where you're applying it. Don't look at the mask, that's not the thing. What is this really? This is low cost manufacture of LED light sources. This is ray tracing. This is how to use photons in a really, really efficient way, in a way that no one else can do. The point about India, my point there is, if you can solve the Indian market, then the US market cost base, the European market cost base becomes a non-issue. The Japanese, I'm selling thousands units to Japan, and the price point's here. And the reason I've done that is because I was actually targeting a price point in India, which is here. So I solved this problem. I solved the underlying problem. Where you apply it becomes then, don't matter, I can apply it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Oliver, thank you, and Yousef as well. If we can, thank you guys for the good discussion. Our numbers are actually increasing despite us getting to the end of the 45 minutes. So we will carry on. So if anyone wants to continue listening to this great discussion, we're going to continue on for 10 or so minutes. We've had a comment from the audience, and excuse my pronunciation, Hirsch Kutesh Deshpande says, I agree the Indian market is quite hard, but a big market of 1 billion people cannot be ignored. So Sabine, let's bring it back to you, because before we move on to, and in fact, where is the next innovation? But perhaps leading on to that, you mentioned different iterations of the Hydraloop for different scales of properties, right? So tell us, in terms of when you look for the next 5 years, and Oliver, you mentioned, Apple is not just a phone company, and Yousef, you said Amazon is not just a book company. They've gone beyond the original business. Where do you sort of see the Hydraloop going? Do you sort of see what you just mentioned, a light version and a bigger version, or do you see you kind of spinning out? Tell us about kind of when you and Arthur sit down to dinner, and hopefully, I know you talking about this. What are your plans?
Well, you know, we have a mission and we have a vision, and that is much wider and bigger than Hydraloop. You know, and actually we have a vision that and we would started to say within 20 years time, but we're now talking even 10 years time. So we say 10 or 15 years time, that no house will be built, no building will be built without its own decentral water recycling system. So what we're doing more and more is actually we made this recycle ready building concept. This is actually what we are now selling. I'm not selling the Hydraloop. That is kind of like a machine that makes it kind of possible. What we're saying is that, you know, when you're building new buildings, new houses, you have to be prepared for the future. So you now have to already prepare all those buildings with the infrastructure that a water recycling system can be installed. That is also in commercial properties. So that's what we're really working hard with. Obviously, in the meantime, you know, we have to earn money as well. And the Hydraloop is, of course, a nice product. So how I see the next coming years, well, we're setting up office. We set up an office in the States, but of course, due to COVID, that was all halted. So next quarter, we should have 3 to 6 people working in our US office. We are very close to setting up Hydraloop Middle East as a joint venture with one of the royal families there. We're doing really, we're having some very, very serious discussions in Australia to set up a joint venture there. I'm doing some really big projects. So the hockey stick, and if you look at our projections, it's next year we're not selling that many units yet because everything is for new buildings. But if you're looking at the years ahead, you know, we're going to be doing a lot of business worldwide. So we need our partners for that, and that's what we're rolling out. So we will not be selling to customers directly. We are doing that now, but that is financing us, and we're finding partners all over the world that will actually sell for us and do the business there.
So then let's quickly, before we bring back in Yousef, he mentioned, hey, it's only until you get people in the team, you start working with them for a month, do you realize they're a good fit for the culture. I think this echoes back to the session we did with Piers Clark and building our utilities, where he said, hire the small group of people, the diverse group of people that you want to reflect the business. If you get the first 3 or 4 or 5 people right in terms of their purpose and fitting with the company, that's how your global business will end up looking. So then, Sabine, how do you know if a person's a good fit, a good partner? Because that, from the sound of it, you're growing, you have the Middle East, you have the Australia. How do you know that these people see the same Hydraloop vision that you and Arthur are creating as your baby as such?
Yeah. Well, you know, the good thing is that I'm actually really, really bad at choosing the right people because I like people too much. So I usually see too much in them.
Give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. And I so much need that. So I see in the person what I want to see, basically. So the good thing is that we got a very, very strong management team, of which I'm part, by the way. But we are 4 people, and these people are seasoned entrepreneurs. They're all in their most of them in their late 50s. And they're in our team, and we have known them for a long, long time. They've become friends as well over the years, and they have actually always assisted us for the last years without any pay. They had a very small percentage of the shares. We gave them these, and these are very, very good people. And now they have bought themselves more into the company, so they are larger shareholders, and they are now full-time working for us, one as a chief operational officer and one as a financial officer. And these people are very, very good at hiring the right people. And so, you know, it's always good to know what you're good at and what you're not at, and get the right people in your team, to find the right people in your team. And the nice thing is, I just want to say that it's because of the success, of course, we are getting a lot of interest from people who want to work with us, because they see the opportunity of starting in a very small company, and how do you say that? The world is your oyster, or the sky is the limit.
I think both work out. Yeah, and in fact, that echoes exactly what Piers said. For those of you tuning into that one, he said, I can admit that I'm not the best person in recruiting and interviewing. By part of the journey is realizing perhaps where you have a weakness and hire someone where it's their strength. And then you can kind of fill those gaps. Good stuff. Well,
realizing what you're not good at, that's very important, and get the right people for that.
yeah, and I think you only know that once you're on the journey to see perhaps where the weakness is, right? But Yousef, let's bring you back in just for the final kind of words, if you will, because on that slide we put was kind of where is the next innovation. So you mentioned you had that huge inquiry potentially, but after doing the due diligence, it didn't really fit. So where do you see kind of LG Sonic going then in terms of your offering and the solution and really going beyond? Do you think going beyond algae? I mean, we ran the headline, the Algae Maestro, as you all know. Hopefully that moniker hasn't stuck too much, but where do you see sort of LG Sonic going? And what advice would you give to people listening in terms of the direction?
Yeah. No, so for LG Sonic, it's quite obvious. It's algae, it will be always algae. So we need to be the best algae management company in the world. So the next innovation will be in phosphate removal, phosphate measurement, adding oxygen to the water, much more data-driven. So we are having now some prediction model for the algae to be the one shop for all the algae problem in the world. So, and all the other innovation will be in a separate company. So I have also other company, the name is Hydrofolta. And in Hydrofolta, what we do over there is we desalinate the water through membrane technology and ultrasound. It's an ion exchange process. It's amazing technology, and the ultrasound is doing great work over there. So that's why we thought we are not going to put it in LG Sonic, because there we want to be the best algae management company in the world. And then we have a spin-off in Hydrofolta, Belgium, where now 4 people are working, and they have worked 3 years to develop the technology, EDR technology to do it. So that's the focus, to be still the best algae management company in the world.
Very good. Well, I think maybe then the headline should still stick as being the Algae Maestro, especially when it comes to LG Sonic.
Yes, as long as I am the CEO of LG Sonic, it will be Algae Maestro, and otherwise Lisa will be the Algae Maestro. So,
and that comes back to our first point, the how and the why with you and Lisa and the teamwork there. Well, a few people have started dropping off, so I think we'll summarize here. Really good discussion, guys. Really, I hope everyone in the audience has enjoyed it. And some really good examples on different technologies, but your journeys, kind of learning to say no, that laser focus, as well as kind of the global expansion. So big thanks to Oliver as well in the audience, and to Andrew for the question as well. Unless we have any further questions from the audience, anyone have anything to ask our speakers before we go? Job is coming to the camera. I don't know if this means do you have a question, Job?
Yeah, for Sabine. Everybody, congratulations to participate in this meeting. For Sabine, we have projected something to Latin America, South America, or especially Mexico, where I am, or all going to be concentrated in the USA.
No. We actually have a partner. We just signed a partner deal with somebody in Mexico, so we have our Mexican partner right now. No,
okay.
I mean, the water shortage is a worldwide problem, and as I said, I mean, our first focus was actually the southwestern states. Really, when we started Hydraloop, we had the southwestern states of the US in mind, because their water is very scarce. People have the money to buy a system like ours. And water is scarce and expensive, and there is the sustainability thought as well.
Okay.
But so that would have been our first market. But now we're finding that even in the Netherlands, you know, where we have our 3rd summer of drought, so we have customers everywhere. The world is our oyster.
Okay. Now I will check out who it is here in Mexico, and try to collaborate with that company.
You can find them on our website with our partners. I think they're on there already.
Excuse me?
We have a partner a page on the website, and you can find all our partners.
Okay.
It's quite new, so they might not yet be on there, but otherwise check it out. It will be soon there.
Okay. Yeah, I just fell in all this, and I saw you in Las Vegas in January, I think, or February. Where was it? Mm-hmm. And it was a marvelous product. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Job, thank you. Thank you for the, great, thank you, Job. Well, just to wrap up, Andrew, if we can put the slide up for the next session, just if we can. So thank you everyone for tuning into Know How. Again, always the theme is mastering your marketing and communications. We hope you enjoyed the session on the product launch. Make sure you tune in for the jargon busters. So as anyone who's worked in water knows, there's so many acronyms, abbreviations that people use. And actually, you know, when you're getting to the heart of storytelling, sometimes we need to make it a bit less geeky and kind of just pull out the story. So Andrew is going to chair this one, bringing in Emma, Digitizer Wiseboard, Guy Tan, Financier Susnet, Philip, Not Yet Water, Scholden, and Phil, Wordsmith Ramble. So promises to be an amazing session, looking at the storytelling and coming again back to mastering your marketing communications. So again, thank you, Sabine, thank you, Yousef, and thanks to Oliver from the audience as well as Yop for the question. We appreciate your input, and yeah, stay tuned for the next one.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You guys.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.